Good morning, everyone. My name is Trisha, and I'm one of the hosts of the Indigified podcast. Today, we are talking about healthy relationships and consent, and I will let my co-host introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Brandon Arriaga.
Hi, Neepy. My name is Monica Gooddon. Thank you for listening in today.
Disclaimer that the views and thoughts expressed here are not of Great Plains Action Society and not Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska, but just individually our thoughts and our opinions centered around this particular topic.
Yes, ma'am.
And so with that, I would also like to give a trigger warning of sexual assault, sex trafficking. We are going to be talking about some heavy topics and all that entails. So we are encouraging folks to practice self-care during, before, after, and just take care of yourself in whatever way that you need to.
Always.
Absolutely.
Yes. So Valentine's is coming up. Ooh. So I know. Ooh.
I love.
And so I thought this would be a perfect time to, why not talk about healthy relationships and consent?
Right.
So the first topic that I want to dive into is Krishan Rock and Blueface.
Okay.
And I don't know if you folks have, you know, I see it blasted all over social media all the time. I'm looking through my reels. As I mentioned, the Krishan Blueface and their relationship. So in this clip, it shows that she is talking to Dr. Ish and explaining the relationship as, you know, her losing herself for the sake of being in this relationship when Blueface is, you know, just doing disrespectful things such as, you know, kissing on other women in front of her, but she's so attached and she just wants this love to last. And you can tell that she just really wants to be in this relationship, but it's not healthy.
Right.
He is not reciprocating the same respect back and not communicating. You know, it's just, and then, you know, in the clip, she has, you know, alcohol that she comes in with, and she's like definitely under the influence. And I've been there before. I've, you know, to lose yourself for the sake of a relationship that you just want so bad. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts?
It's not even holding on for the relationship that you want. It's holding on for the potential. How do you say it?
Potential.
I don't know. I was trying to add like a ITY to then like potentiality. Is that a word?
Potentially.
Maybe, right? Holding on to the potentiality of that relationship, right? You have this vision or this dream of what you want things to be. So you're constantly holding on, even though that's not what it is.
Yes.
And you know, some people, they put in all this work into their relationships and they're able to get their relationship to where both people are happy in it and their needs and wants are being met. But sometimes you'll hold on and you're not going to get that because you have these expectations of this person, and that person is either not willing or is incapable of meeting those expectations, and you will definitely lose yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes. Brandon, do you have anything to add on to that? Because I know, like, there's different dynamics, right? So we always see Krishan, like, you know, physically hurting Blueface, but also there's like Blueface, I feel like, I don't know, like when I see him, because this is a real thing, right?
Right.
Men can get psychologically abused, emotionally abused, and, you know, just there's a whole nother conversation around this. So, Brandon, I'm going to turn it over to you because you are the male, kind of the male voice, but like, what are your thoughts about when you see this relationship play out?
Honestly, it's like looking in the mirror for me at my past relationships. Not to say it's gotten to that extent of being televised, but a lot of the toxicity, a lot of the mental torment that is going on, a lot of the emotional abuse is pretty similar to what I have experienced in my own relationships. And you know, all I have to say is, like, if you're in that type of situation, get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
Because can they change? Will they change? The better question is your mental health and emotional stability worth waiting for them to change?
Right.
Because for me, I changed. You know, God knows I changed. From 2016, when I was at the worst of my relationship with my kids' mother, to 2023, it's been a complete 180, and it hasn't been easy. It took the help of the state of Iowa, DOC, to do it, the probation office to do it. It took all these jobs. It took my kids. It took losing my kids. It took waking up homeless and not knowing what I was going to do with my life. And it got down to the dark depths of attempted suicide. Mm-hmm. And that's where holding on can get you, from my experience. Like Monica had said, it's like holding on to a thorn bush. Mm. The harder you squeeze, the more you're gonna bleed. Right. And the only way to heal is to let it go and stop causing your own self harm. Mm-hmm. So for anybody, male or female, that's in that type of situation, you just gotta know when it's time to pack up and go. And that's just my personal experience. I'm not no relationship doctor, and I'm not no spiritual guru. Like, I just know it's time to go when it's time to go. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to lead to physical violence. The mental, emotional, and physical, all of that ties together. Any type of abuse should not be allowed in a relationship.
Right. What do you think, as far as like when you're growing up, what resources were available to you so you weren't, if you had resources available to you, what would those look like in order for you to not, necessarily take that path, if you will?
To be very honest with you, in the Macy area, in the Sioux City, in the South Sioux City area, my only option was prison. I mean, and that was part of my own personal choice and lack of wanting to change, because I was a boy when I got incarcerated, and it didn't really set in until I was sitting in the big house with the big dogs, and I realized some of them ain't going home. Some of them ain't gonna ever hug their wife again. And that's when I realized this is not the place for me. Right. So for me personally, there was no relationship advice. Like my middle school relationships were just as toxic as my adult relationships, because that's just what I was shown growing up. And there was, for me in this area, there was a lost cause trying to find a healthy relationship expert.
For sure.
Today we have a lot more resources, thank God.
Yeah.
And then to like caddy off what Brandon was saying, right, with like the, get out, just leave. Sometimes it's not that simple. Even with like the Krishan interview. So that interview is a lengthy interview, right? And in there, she exposes some of her childhood traumas and the way her family life looked as a young girl. And I feel like when you go through those sorts of experiences as a developing child, that as you get older, you tend to put yourself in environments that almost mirror what you went through because it's comfortable. And unfortunately, no matter how much it hurts and no matter how much trauma you're enduring and the pain that you're experiencing, sometimes letting go is the hardest part of it. It's the most hurtful part, is letting go. This is my comfort. Is it good for me? No, but this is where I'm comfortable. But also, it's absolutely necessary. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to extend that conversation a little bit more to family dynamics, because families are also relationships too.
Right.
And so when you're, in this environment, maybe it wasn't the best environment. As a child, you are taught these behavior patterns, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to Native communities, I see a lot of like trauma bonding. Mm-hmm. And so if we are teaching our kids that it's okay to hit your mom, or it's okay to yell at dad and demean him and talk badly about each other in front of each other and your kid, as they get older and grow into an adult, that they're also like, you're setting that stage for them to have adult relationships that mirror that.
Right.
We carry those behavior patterns into those adult relationships because that's all we know. Mm-hmm. And to me, that is trauma bonding, if you will.
Right.
Healthy relationships are communicating, having respect for each other, even financially, being being there for one another. And then you have unhealthy relationships where it's, you know, just being ignored, not communicating. And, you know, then we have downright abusive, where
Right.
it is just physical and
verbal and mental.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again, healthy relationships doesn't just have to be love. This can be friendships. This could be personal work, you know, relationships. So I do want to talk to Brandon about that, because I know you had mentioned, you know, your relationships haven't been the greatest, but you also have this relationship with your sponsor.
Absolutely.
Can you touch on that?
So in the process of my growing and my changing, I jumped into recovery. And for those that don't know, I'm trying to do this while sticking to my traditions, but recovery is, you know, we go to this room and we meet and we get a sponsor, we work some steps, and we believe in a higher power, and we repair the damage that we've done to our lives and the damage that drugs have done to our lives. With that being said, I found a sponsor. He was one of my best friends growing up, and he helped me get started on this path, and he helped introduce the full recovery to me. Unfortunately, he put on the white lab coat and went back out because he wasn't done experimenting, and yeah, he is where he is today. Upon that, I had to find a new sponsor. And this sponsor, man, he changed my life. He changed my way of thinking. He changed me. The continuing changing product that you see, the evolving
Yes.
product that you see.
You're not
He has a
finished.
helping hand. And, you know, that's the most honest and vulnerable and the most intimate relationship I've had with another man. And that is very unheard of in my world, because I grew up without a dad. I don't trust men. And therefore, with everything that's going on in the world today, I just feel more comfortable around women because I was raised by my grandmother and my mother and my sisters. And so, yeah, getting in with him, he taught me how to be honest by just showing me. And, you know, he showed me the work ethic that he was doing, and we talked, and I was able to confide in him and tell him a lot of my dark, deep secrets. And he just held on to those, and he was like, hey, man, I haven't done nothing like that probably, but I understand. And he doesn't judge. He taught me the true meaning of humility.
Right.
You know, and someone else actually tried to call him and like, hey, you know, Brandon, yada, yada. And, you know, he heard it and he listened to it and he's like, hey, thank you for, you know, sharing that with me. But when we get on the step work, anything that he has to reveal will come out. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you doing your part, but we got our own personal relationship. And
Right.
I love that, the fact that it wasn't no outside influence trying to tarnish my name or tarnish my reputation. He just, you know, he took it for what it's worth. And we kept it moving. So today, that relationship with that man is one of the most healthiest things I have. You know, sometimes I don't like to listen to him because he is like a big brother to me, and sometimes I wanna mess up my own life without having to put it on you. But no, it's really a beautiful thing because this is what is sparking. I'm getting the most experience from this relationship to work on. Me and my mother kind of seeing eye to eye today, and we were able to visit, spend holidays together, and she is proud of the son that she has raised. Me and my dad have we got to talk, and I got to understand why he wasn't there, why he was absent, and why things turned out the way they are. And being a father today with my current situations, I understand why he had to do what was best for not only me, but for him. And see, all these relationships that I'm starting to fix, repair, some of them I cannot repair, and some of them I'm starting to, starting to build new relationships.
Yeah.
This is all stemming from that one healthy relationship. So my best suggestion for those of you that are outside of my area that aren't in recovery like me, just find someone that you can trust, man. Start building with that self, because that's the one thing he taught me was the self-love. I got to start with me. It wasn't about me and him. He just helped me get the tools to unlock the door so I can get in and start discovering Brandon. Yes. And once I found Brandon, I fell in love with me. And today, everything I do is to better me. Mm-hmm. You know, my current home relationships with my family, any romantic relationships I may partake in, any business relationships I have, at the end of the day, I have to ask myself, what does Brandon want?
Right.
And sometimes I have to lose some because, hey, I got to put me first. You know, I love myself so much today. I understand why others don't, because I stopped putting you in front of me. That's why you don't like me. And I start putting me first. And that's the best relationship you can have, is with self. You know what I mean? You want a healthy relationship, look in the mirror.
That was deep.
If you can't put the phone down and look at that person in the mirror, there's something wrong.
Yes.
Because I turn my phone off, I pray and meditate daily, and I love Brandon.
For sure.
Right. And can we take a moment just to give a huge gratitude to all the sponsors for the people that are in the NA and AA program. You know, the sponsors are not people who read books and they're like, hey, we're going to help you. These are people who have lived that life and they've made it to the other side, and now to help them stay on the red road, or, you know, stay on that path, they're taking their knowledge and they're taking their love that they have for themselves and giving it to other people. So a huge thank you to Brandon's sponsor for teaching him so much, but so much gratitude for all the sponsors that make time to do that for these people that they may have never known outside of those programs. Yeah.
Yes.
We keep what we have by giving it away.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to talk about Nathan Chasing Horse. So I don't know if you guys have followed his case or what's been going on with Nathan Chasing Horse. So Nathan Chasing Horse was an actor with the Dances with Wolves movie, which kind of broke my heart when this came about, right? Because I was like, Dances with Wolves, like, you know, like that's a classic.
Wolves, yeah.
So Nathan Chasing Horse was federally charged as of yesterday for sex trafficking adults. He has sexual assaults against minors and child abuse, neglect. And he has used his claim as a medicine man to basically victimize our Indigenous girls and women. And so I want to have the conversation around that, because Nathan Chasing Horse, he isn't just the only one that's doing this in Indian country,
Right.
and also in a broader respect overall.
Right.
You know, because we have, you know, whether it's men or women that use these titles to their advantage, and they take advantage of people and they take away. And so I think that kind of goes back to the family, you know, dynamic of, you know, just in Native communities in general. I feel like there was definitely a knee-jerk reaction because his bond, they didn't set a bond. So like the court, obviously there was a court hearing for that. And there was people that were there to support him and like let him know that, you know, they're there to help or like support him.
Right.
But also, like, to me, I'm just like, no, like that's disgusting. Like,
Immediately, no.
yeah. And so again, that's like just having that conversation of Native communities and having the knee-jerk reaction to hearing something unfavorable, unpleasant about somebody that you had respected. So I want to dive into that. Brandon, you had shared something in regards to that, as far as, you know, being incarcerated and being around these individuals, and, you know, even having a personal account of what happened. Can you dive into that?
Absolutely. You know, I've met and encountered with people like this all the time when I was locked up, especially Native Americans. We come together, we practice our Nipi ways. We are considered a religious group in the Iowa DOC, so we have a lot of unity together. And you know, it's very sensitive topic. You know, I'm starting to get a little bit of flashbacks having to remember this, but we had some people come in that were portraying to be not really medicine man, but they just had great knowledge of the NEP ways and of their tribal ways, and
Like a spiritual leader.
yeah, and they thought highly of themselves. But then when the paperwork came out, they had similar cases, you know, similar to this one, downright to the exact charge. And that's very unfortunate that people are going to take these ways and manipulate them and abuse them, because the way I was taught is these ways of our people are very sacred. You know what I mean? For lack of a better term, they are very holy and very spiritual. And with that comes those spirits. My grandma always taught me that them spirits do not play. Don't play with them because they don't play back. They win. And as you can see, you play with these waves, and now them spirits play back. Right. And going into the his followers, like, he has his own cult, from what I've understood. So this isn't just supporters. This isn't just, yes men and round of applause. These are people that believe in his mentality. They believe in his way of life, and they believe in what they were doing was okay. And so, like I said, I've encountered that a lot, where, people that speak so highly of this, they are very manipulative. They are very inspirational, because one of my teachers, so to say, one of the people teaching me the ways of Inipi and teaching me the language of the Lakota, he happened to be on this type of case.
Wow.
And it was very earth-shattering, and I just, for those of you that are not really tied to your indigenous culture and your background, just always be cautious on who you're taking spiritual advice from, because not everybody's spirit is in the right place. You could be getting spiritual advice. Not saying that, he wasn't giving it, but it was the wrong kind of spirit, because there are also dark spirits out here. It's not always just sunshines and rainbows in this world.
Yes. Yep. Thank you, Brandon. Monica, do you want to touch a little bit on the Nathan chasing horse? What is your perspective? I know Quana has been quite the topic too as well when we're talking about Nathan chasing horse.
My heart really goes out for Quana, because not only is this coming to her, right? The public is looking at her and they're like, well, she needs to drop her last name, and she needs to do this and she needs to do that. She doesn't need to do anything. She needs to do what she's been doing, and that's inspiring our younger generation to chase their dreams and showing them that they can occupy these spaces that we haven't really occupied before. You can be on the cover of these multi-million-dollar magazines. You can go into modeling. So my heart really just breaks for her, because I feel like a lot of backlash is coming on to her, especially being that she's had to come out and be like, well, that's not my father figure. How traumatic to have to come out and be like, that's not my father figure, period. But to have to come out and be like, that's not my father figure. And he's facing all of these charges. He has all these accusations against him. So, yeah, that really breaks my heart. But then the case in general, it really upsets me. So for me, I'm really big on, and I've been this way my whole life, I'm really big on breaking down Native American stereotypes. I was raised by my grandma. My grandma is full-blooded Winnebago. She has all those Winnebago features. Her skin is very melanated. And so growing up, I would experience these racial remarks and these labels and these stereotypes being placed on her. And I feel like that kind of fueled me over the years to be like, well, why do people look at her like that? Because I know her and I know who she is. And so when you have something like this that comes out and makes mainstream media, I'm instantly like, okay, now people have a reason to look at us in this sense, right? To be like, oh, well, this is who they are. No, this is not who we are. This is one person who made terrible choices with no regard to the people that he was hurting. Yes, there are more people like him out there, men and women. Yes, there are more people, men and women like him out there that do not belong to our cultural group. This is not something that is, what's the word? Isolated. This is not something that is isolated to our people.
Right.
Yeah. So
I always think about like that's period.
And that's on period. Shout out to my mom. She's like, you say period too much.
We have like the concubines. I don't know if that's how if they still say that today, but like there's different religions, right? And then I think about like Jim Jones, right? So like he was a big cult leader, and all these people like believed in him, and then all of just the tragedy that happened. So I think it all stems to, just that self-love piece, right? What are you willing to put up with? And, like, you got to have a strong core for yourself, but sometimes it's hard though, so.
You have to love yourself enough to not allow other people to be able to come in and brainwash you into a whole different person. Yeah.
Also, not loving your lack of self-love, it allows for the disregard of other human beings. Like, I remember coming up, we used to, our product used to be substances. And it seems like this new generation, their product is human beings. And that's where it's like, it's a totally more dark, twisted mentality, I guess, to disregard another human being, because besides our gender, we have the same body parts as far as arms, legs, and head. We have the same internal organs as far as the vital ones: heart, lungs, liver, and spleen. So to go in human traffic, and for those that in the dark world that harvest these organs, and you have to, that's a really dark place to be. And that all starts with that lack of self-care. If you don't care about yourself, you're not going to care about the next person. And as well as the substance abuse, and as well as the brainwashing, like, it's all tied together. But like you guys are saying, self-love is the cure, I believe, for anything. But self-love is what help protect yourself from anything and everything, including self. Like, I self-sabotage my own progress today with just waking up late, being late to my appointments. But I mean, that's just minor compared to, like, it progresses over time. And evolution isn't always just positive. Evolution is also on the negative side too. There's two sides to a coin. So just love yourself and love others, and let's stop this nonsense, man, because this is not our people. This is not our ways. This is not trying to put it on any other person, but this is just a mentality and a spirit that is being taught to us, and it needs to stop.
So going into what you're speaking about is like self-love. This also means putting up boundaries.
Absolutely.
Right? And how do we put up boundaries?
Don't ask me, girl.
So no. The word no is a full sentence, right?
No.
Yes.
When you tell somebody no, I know.
I mean, no. I was agreeing with you. Yeah. No.
No is a full sentence. No doesn't need any explanation after that, any clarification. You can tell people no, and that's it, And I think I personally struggled with putting up boundaries for a very long time. And it felt weird to tell someone no.
Right.
But I feel like saying yes every single time an opportunity came up, or like, people are asking, certain thing. Hey, can you do this? Or, hey, we should do this. Or like, hey, you know what you should do? Instead of saying no, I always said yes. And I feel like the yes is always the fear of rejection, or like if I said no, I would fear that, let's not talk to her. And
the rejection. Yeah.
Right. So saying yes to me can mean people pleasing. It's out of fear of rejection. Right. So, but what I also understand too now is like the more I say no, the more I'm saying yes to other things. Absolutely. Yes to more time to myself. Yes to, my family, to my kids, more time with them. But also like in a sense of like healthy relationships, no, you cannot do that. This is why, or, just in my own head, Yeah. In regards to healthy relationships, I would say like no is just putting up your boundaries and letting people know what you know your own worth. Right. And so, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think no means no, but so does I don't want to. I'm uncomfortable. Can we do something else? Right? Because, you watch these cases where it's like sexual assault and they look at the person and they're like, well, did you tell him no? And they'll be like, well, I told him I didn't want to, or I told him I wanted to go do this instead, or, these little things. And they're like, well, that's not no. Yes, it is. That's no. When someone is expressing an uncomfortability within the situation, whether it's in a setting of, you know, that could potentially lead to sexual assault and harassment or not. It doesn't even have to be that deep or that extreme. If someone doesn't want to do something, they don't want to do it. Do not pressure them into do it. You cannot make someone do something.
Right.
So, yeah, and girl, I'm a people pleaser too. So I'm working on boundaries. I talk to my therapist about my lack of boundaries all the time. I just talked about it last night. I was like, I tried. It didn't go the way I wanted, so I'm just going to stop. And she was like, no, that's not how we handle it. You keep on pushing. Those are your boundaries. And I was like, but I can do it. I can make the extra time to do it. And she was like, no, you can't. You're busy. Like, you have to make sure you're making time for yourself. So, yeah, I'm 30 years old, and I am still learning about boundaries. I am 30 years old, and I still seek counseling, and I think those are great things to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love the fact that you had touched on, I think it was implied consent is what the bigger term is for that. If people don't tell you yes, or, you know, if you don't hear yes, then don't act on anything, or don't, you know, like if especially when it comes to healthy relationships, you know, in terms of like the sexual, you know, activities, if you will, if it's not a yes, then don't proceed.
Right.
Because every person has their own sovereignty, has their own right to say no.
Right.
And if they don't want to do something, don't force it on them.
Right.
That's simple.
It's
right?
very simple.
Right? It's very simple, but
And also,
sometimes it's,
not only so much as forcing, but like also don't trick them into it. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause see, when it comes to healthy relationships, you guys really hit the nail on the head when it comes to the enforcement and the I'm gonna just say it, the rape part of it. But there's also manipulation that comes with unhealthy relationships. As far as in romantic relationships, sometimes as men, we will try to trick women into getting in bed, as far as like, leading them on into a relationship that's really not a real relationship. Or
women do that too.
Like, you know, trying to do this do this little game with the phone where, you know, sneaky links, I think they call it, and side pieces,
sliding
and like
into the DMs.
that creates a lot of unhealthy behaviors, a lot of unhealthy patterns, because now you've just passed that mentality on to that person. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Like, I was never a cheater, but if we're not official, like we're sneaky links or whatever, you have no right to even get upset about anything. And that right there is emotional abuse, because now I'm not allowing you to fully express how you feel in this
experience.
This entanglement that we're doing. You know what I mean? And so, like you said, for my men out there that are listening, like, make sure you sit down and have the conversations, have the terms and agreements, agreed upon before moving forward. Because, like I said, that whole game that we've been playing all these years, the women are starting to do it now. Like you said, you know, the women are starting to treat us like a little side piece and a little piece of coleslaw that nobody wants.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, but
we're hungry.
At the end of the day, you know, we're causing our own pain and our own harm, because nobody's willing to heal from this. Like, you know, we all have unhealthy relationships, but what are some of the healthy things? You know, that's what the conversations that we need to talk about, is how to identify it, because I know what unhealthy looks like. Right. I see a bruise on your face, that's unhealthy. Yes. I see tears in your eyes, that's unhealthy. I hear the anger in my voice when I yell, that's unhealthy. What does healthy look like? Right. You know what I mean? And those are some of the conversations. I can't tell you. I'm still learning. I can read off this paper, and, you know, it says here that, you know, honor, communication, trust and support, honesty and accountability, equality and fairness, enjoying personal time, making mutual sexual choices, cultural and spiritual respect. Like, those are some of the things that go into a healthy relationship, and those are what I strive for. And sometimes, as we discussed earlier, like I said, you just have to get out and start over, or even start with yourself. Right. Because I see a lot of women today are finding themselves by staying single. Yeah. And I just want to push that onto my men, like, hey, stay single. Right. You know, stay committed to self, because we need to show up with the best product, with the best evolving product, because we're never finished. But You know, we want to show up and give our best. And
Right.
I believe a lot of us are just, you know, hooking up and creating kids. And, you know, that's very tough because then we're creating our own historical trauma, our own generational trauma, I should say. So.
Right. And then circling back, right? Social media has this whole, I don't know, idolization of toxic relationships. Circling back to Krishan Rock and Blueface. There's, every once in a while, I'll be on TikTok. You know, a lot of us do that TikTok, just scrolling at night, falling asleep. That's how I fall asleep. TikTok puts me to sleep.
Same TikTok for like, it keeps repeating.
It just keeps repeating.
That's my uncle.
But there's times where I'll be scrolling through and there will be this footage of those two where they are engaging with each other in a healthy manner, where it's very loving, and we don't ever see it though. They have a TV show, right? TV shows need ratings, they need viewers. So what they're pushing forward is all of this toxicity because people love drama.
Yeah.
People love to see drama, but unfortunately our youth is watching that, and they're like, oh, well, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Absolutely.
Our youth is not only watching us, they're watching their social medias, they're watching these reality TV shows, and they're getting this idea of what relationships are supposed to look like. And okay, now we have these partners that are controlling and possessive, and love is not possessive. If you feel like your partner is your possession, you need to let them go. Let them free, because you are going to tear them down whether you mean to or not. Your partner will never, ever be your possession. Mic
that
drop.
last part.
Nor
Last
were
part,
your
though.
kids.
Or your
Because
children, yeah.
in unhealthy relationships, sometimes kids are the possession because we cannot no longer possess the partner. So I mean,
Like
this
pawns.
goes so deep, and it's such a needed conversation today.
Right. I feel like we're mostly touching on like those intimate relationships, right? Because we're going into Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But your platonic relationships, it's the same standards. You do
Absolutely.
not possess anybody.
Absolutely.
Nobody in this world is your possession. Your pets aren't your possession.
Right.
Shout out to Saint.
Shout out to-
We have the media, the movies, the television throughout this whole time, whether it's Urban Cowboy, Baby Boy, reality shows, right?
Those outside influences that are not in our homes, essentially, maybe on our TVs in our homes, but those outside influences do make a difference.
They do.
What the content that you
Consume.
Yes, the content that you consume
Absolutely.
takes a toll on your development, regardless of what stage you are in life.
Yep. I think, what is it? When you said Baby Boy, I always think about ride or die.
Yeah.
Right? Ride or die. You're going to have this undying devotion to me and this loyalty, even though you're going to go cheat on me and you're going to go talk to this other girl and, you know, whatever. Like, I still have to ride or die for you. Like, no, I don't, actually. We're in the age, no.
It's like that TikTok sound. I done rode and died. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So closing this up. Do you guys have anything that you want to touch on?
I guess just with this, just love yourself. Love yourself. Give yourself the best love that you can give. Give yourself the love that you want and you expect from other people. And when you hold yourself to that standard, I promise that those people underneath you who want to love bomb you and who want to come in as like this really kind, caring facade of a person, that you will pick up on those red flags way earlier than you would if you're just neglecting yourself and you're just searching for a love, you know. You shouldn't feel lonely if you're not in a relationship. You should never be lonely when it's just you, because just you is enough. Having yourself in the right mind state is enough. You just have to be able to see it like that.
I have full on parties with myself. I'm not going to lie.
I'd be in the kitchen like I'm on YouTube. I'd be like, okay, so first we're gonna.
I'm more introverted. I just sit there and enjoy my own company.
Right? There's
I'm too
nothing
used to
wrong
being in
with
a
that.
cell.
Though. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's just you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like any setting, anywhere you go, it's just you at the end of the day and your thoughts. So
One of the
love
things-
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I learned is no matter where you go, you're taking your biggest problem with you, and it's in the mirror.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? I am my biggest problem. So with that being said, I just want for our listeners to know that as for me, I used to be unhealthy and physical and mental and emotional abuser. Because I was playing tit for tat. I didn't even realize at the time I was abusing. But it's like, okay, you did this, I'm going to do that. You cheated, I'm going to do that. You stayed out all night, I'm not coming home for 3 days. And so knowing that where I used to be, I just want to be the sample of the example of what self-love can do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because today I love myself. Today I am in college. I'm in class. I'm actually in I'm in a continuously evolving healthy relationship because I'm not going to say we're there yet. But we are working it out. We are actually able to communicate and talk. And we are able to separate and just leave each other alone until we are able to say, my mom told me, if you got nothing nice to say, shut up.
Mm-hmm. Vital.
And that's what I have to practice today. So for me, I just want to tell everybody out there to continue educating yourself, continue seeking out positive examples. Self-help books really helped me. Prayer and meditation helped me. Start looking at who you keep around you. You know what I mean? As far as family, friends, influences, and don't keep people around that are taking from you. You know what I mean? Put people around that are going to fill your cup. That's why I keep you two women around, because you guys are like the sisters that, my sisters, not to talk bad on them, but they didn't give me a lot of game, in dealing with women. And talking with you guys, you at least put me up on some game, and you guys give me some advice and some real life stuff that will help me. So it's all about who you surround yourself with also. Once you've mastered the self-love, start surrounding yourself with self-loving people who are going to fill your cup, because as we know, there's people out there that will take from you. There's people out there that will use you, people that will try to come and, just benefit from you. And that can be family. That can be relationships. That can be kids. You know what I mean? Like, that can be anybody.
Right.
So I just want you guys to love yourself and keep educating yourself, because as Monica is reminding me, we are a always consistent, evolving project. I'm going to be a carpenter, so no house is ever done and that's the finished project. You got to remodel it, renovate it, you got to fix some stuff.
Got to have a solid foundation first.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yep. It's official. We are on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Google Podcasts and also Apple Podcasts. We're also on YouTube. So please go check us out. Please support us and download. And then there's like a notification bell that you can get when we upload new episodes. So please check us out.
Share us with your friends.
Yeah. So, and then you can, Great Plains Action Society, we're on Facebook and Instagram. You can check us out. I put our episodes on our website, like on the very front page, if you will. So greatplainsaction.org. But I don't know if you guys have anything else to add, but that's...
Yeah, I think just on that, I want to also let them know we will be getting a Facebook page for the Indigenous podcast. So that way, if you guys want to give us some feedback, or if there's any upcoming topics you'd like to hear, anything you want, we want to stay connected with you guys as well. So with that being said, stay blessed.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.